Good morning, everyone. You're welcome to the Young Professionals Leadership Summit today. My name is Olani Beloved, and I will be anchoring this session and this summit for the day. Once again, I still want to say you're welcome to the Young Professionals Mega Summit. We'll always have our annual Mega Summit, although the COVID-19 and the situation in the country and in the world today somewhat wanted us to shift or skip this for this year, but we still made it a reality because what we're talking about as per leadership, it's key to the nation and decisions that will take the nation forward. And I am saying that you will be so greatly blessed and enriched after this summit. I also want to acknowledge the presence of those listening to us over the radio, the DCLM radio, those listening to us and watching us also on Facebook, and those watching us on YouTube. I want to acknowledge your presence and the presence of all our guest speakers and everyone all around. You are most welcome. And I want to also tell you that your presence here has made this summit a reality indeed. Uh, a quote from an anonymous quote says, leaders instill in their people a hope for success and a belief in themselves. Positive leaders empower people to accomplish their goals. That's the major goal for this summit. And we will all get to our peak, we will all achieve our goals after this summit with the tips we'll be learning from this summit. We need to also acknowledge the presence of our God Almighty as we start this summit. And I will have a short prayer while we commence the leadership summit. Let's just bow our eyes for prayer. Father, we thank you for the opportunity of this day. We thank you for how you have made it a reality. And we are saying that as we commence this leadership summit, trying to build up leaders that will transform our nation, leaders that will transform the globe at large. We're asking that you help these people to make this a reality in the name of Jesus. And as we commence, you start with us and you go on with us. Let your name alone be glorified. In Jesus' name we have prayed. I say welcome once again to the LEAD 2020 themed, the Leadership Summit themed the Quantum Leap. You will be understanding things in a greater dimension beyond what you've ever understood about leadership and emotional intelligence. As fast as possible, I also want to acknowledge the presence of our keynote speaker, Mr. Femi Pedro, who is the current chairman of Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN. He has also been the one-time deputy governor of Lagos State. We sincerely appreciate your presence and also the presence of all our panelists backstage. We want to say thank you very much for honoring our request, and I hope that after today, looking back at the lives you've built through this summit, this leadership summit, you'll be so wowed and you'll be grateful to God that you have been able to build up leaders and raise up leaders like yourself, because every one of us will be meeting at the top after this leadership summit. Very quickly, we'll be going to the session of the welcome address, which will be handled by the president of the Young Professionals Forum, in person of Mr. Bangbayan Daniel, will be welcoming him upstage right now for his opening address. Thank you, Mr. Daniel.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I want to say a big welcome to everybody. If you're excited that you're here, put a comment, put your favorite emoji. Let's know that you are happy to be at this event today. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this event. And I want to acknowledge everybody connecting to this event all around Nigeria and outside Nigeria. We have registration from all around, not just in Nigeria. We have viewers looking at this, connecting to this event from outside Nigeria. those connecting via YouTube, via Facebook, via DCLM radio. We are excited to be engaging you today, and I'm very confident that this, day will make a big difference in your life. I want to acknowledge Mr. Femi Pedro, our keynote speaker. We are delighted to have you here. Our panelists, we're excited to have you here as you have chosen to share your insights with young leaders so that we can have some progress as a nation. In the words of John C. Maxwell, everything rises and falls on leadership. And so there is, of course, a consensus in Nigeria and Africa at large that the backwardness being experienced by Africa and Nigeria particularly boils down to the quality of leadership that has led the country, the nation, the institutions over time. And that's why the subject of leadership becomes paramount in every well-meaning organization. And that's the reason that this event has been approved by our grand patron, Pastor W.F. Kumoyi, so that this very important subject will be addressed because it's one of his very passion that needs to, and that's why he has set up institutions that will help raise leaders from the early stages up to the highest level. And that's why you have the Deeper Life High School, you have the Anchor University. These are institutions that are set up to be able to raise people that will lead this nation to the desired destination. And the YPF itself, the Young Professionals Forum, the objective behind the setting up of this institution is very akin to the need to raise leaders of significance. And this group was conceived out of the passion of Pastor W.F. Kumoyi to build an interdenominational platform that helps young adults to discover the essence of purposeful living through diligence, honesty, and integrity. And this, he believes, will prepare them for excellence in their chosen field of endeavor. And the YPF has been, executing this mandate in different dimensions. One of the ways that we do this is to organize events like this that reorientate young people and put them on track for real leadership with the highest level of integrity, which is what our nation and the world needs at this time. One of the things that we do to, aside talking to the people and advising them and showing them principles, we also organize, skill acquisition programs. As of today, we have trained at least 1,800 young people on different skills from web development to mobile app development to pastry and mixology, to photography, video editing, and a myriad of other skills. And we have testimonies of these young people who are making a difference. The LEAD website was designed by one of the products of, the YPF Skill Acquisition Program. And so we are not just teaching you or showing you theory of how, to become a leader, how to become influential. We're teaching you how to, the skills that you need, because leadership boils down to influence. Influence cannot be gotten except you are able to have something that distinguishes you from those that will follow you. And so we use these multiple platforms to groom young people and to grow them for the next level. During this event, we hope that we will be able to tackle critical subjects on leadership. And one of the ways we're going to be doing that is bringing exemplary leaders so that we'll demystify some of the things that you think are not possible. You think you cannot rise to the top without, without being unethical. We're going to show you leaders that will share their story, that will engage and share secrets that will catapult you from where you are to the highest point. And of course, on day 2, we're going to be, unveiling subjects on emotional intelligence and relationship building and working with people, which is a very key skill, especially with the realities of the world we are in today. The age where just skill matters is fast going. With the emergence of AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, and all of the new developments, it is important that people develop people skills because that's what will matter in this era. And so you have to listen with all rapt attention, because these skills that you're going to learn here are going to be from people that have been in the boardrooms, and will talk to you based on how they feel from the boardroom. And so you have to be attentive to ensure that you get the very best from this event. I just want to share a bit with you with respect to the demographics of people that are on this program. As at this morning, we have over 6,016 registered participants in this event. And the statistics will astound you. 56.1% of these people are not members of the Bible Church. 43.9% are members. That tells you, when I said that this group is an interdenominational institution, our goal is to impact young people. It is not about denomination. We have 61.1% male on this program. 38.9% of people who registered as of this morning are female. And just to say a bit about the demographics in terms of age, about 30% of participants in this who are registered for this event are aged between 18 and 24. 46% are aged between 25 and 34. 15% are aged between 35 and 44. And 5% are aged between 45 and 54. And then we have a paltry 2% who are from 55 years old upwards. Now, this just, the 6,000 I told you is just those that are registered. We know some people are still joining this event who probably have not registered. If you didn't do that, we'll implore you to do that so that we can have a fuller detail, and then we can reach you further after the event. I want to say a very big welcome to everyone, and I want to implore you to ensure that you listen attentively. You pay whatever price is required to be able to be online for these 2 days, because the value you're going to get from this program is going to far outweigh the costs you're going to incur in keeping yourself online throughout this program. Thank you very much for choosing to be with us. We cannot be here without you. We appreciate you, and we implore you to remain on this program because it's going to make a difference in your life. Thank you very much. God bless you abundantly.
Thank you very much, the President, Daniel Bangbanyo. It's a great pleasure to have you here too, building lives and making lives great. I'm sure that when you look at these lives you've touched through the Young Professionals Forum after now, you'll be so happy and you'll be blessed that thank God I am alive. That's what will be the comments from you. Thank you once again, the President of the Young Professionals Forum. A good leader leads the people from above them. That's coming from MD Arnold. A great leader leads the people from within them. So we are great to be led from within today through this leadership summit. And wise leaders generally have wise counselors, because it takes a wise person themselves to distinguish them. That's coming from Diagnosis of Sino. Now, we are so blessed to have in our midst the wise leader that has discovered us and also felt, I need to bring these people up, I need to develop them, I need to make them strong and great. So it will be my so great pleasure to bring up someone who is an author of the book titled Formula for Wealth. Formula for Wealth, My Thoughts on Wealth, Entrepreneurship, and Leadership. He was the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Nigeria from 2003 until 2007, prior to his election alongside the former Governor Bola Tinubu. He was a part owner and the Chief Executive Officer of First Atlantic Bank, now FCMB. He has a degree in economics from University of Wisconsin Superior and a master's degree in economics from Wichita State University. And I am so delightful. The joy is just inside me that we are pleasured and greatly honored to have in our midst, and as our keynote speaker, Mr. Femi Pedro, who will be talking to us on the quantum leap from dependence to influence. from dependence to influence. Thank you very much, Mr. Femi Pedro. You are upstage now.
Good morning, and greetings to our father, the patron, Pastor Kumui, the president, Daniel Bamigbayan, members of the young professionals, and distinguished guests. It's a great pleasure to be your keynote speaker at this leadership summit. Thank you for the honor and the opportunity to add value to the lives of thousands of young people. This topic, the quantum leap from dependence to influence, is quite interesting and thought-provoking. Today, I'm going to take you through the journey from dependence to influence. I expected to do this in 2 minutes. A very daunting task indeed, but I will give it my best. First, to be a good leader, you need to be empowered. And to be empowered is that you must be worthy and intentional. There's a nexus between real wealth creation and good leadership. In the context of this discussion, then the second means reliance on someone for financial support and survival. It means that you as a person, you are struggling and you cannot stand on your own. You therefore need to lean on someone or stand on someone's shoulder to survive. I would describe this condition as being a poverty trap. Don't be ashamed. It's not from being poverty trap. It's being in stage 1 on the wealth ladder. You are perpetually struggling financially. You are unable to make ends meet. You are possibly living in a rented apartment, or you are coping with a family or a friend. You own little or no investment assets, and you are surviving only on your monthly salary or income, or possibly you are even unemployed. I'm sure there are many people listening to me here who fit this category. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are just in stage 1. You are in the stage of dependence. It's important for you to recognize that you are in stage 1. You are in this situation. For me, to take that quantum leap to stage 4, that is the ultimate stage. At this stage, when you are in a position of you are contented, you are glorious, you are affluent, and feel worthy. You have an opportunity to live a peaceful life. You are empowered and nervous. You are in a position to change a nation and possibly the world. At this level, you may decide to establish a foundation, to grant scholarships, to support the poor and the needy, to contest for high political office, to an agent of change. And you may change because of which everyone want to be in this kind of situation. Someone with money. In fact, having money is not really wealth. Those who have money are not wealthy. Their money is here today, gone tomorrow. Money is liquid. It can evaporate and disappear. It's an illusion to think having money means being wealthy. There are a lot of people around us in our society who have made billions of dollars or naira through means that they cannot explain. Some of them made this money through corruption, embezzlement, fraud, internet scam. They are not wealthy. They do not have any lasting influence. Their money is illicit and it's not backed by any wealth instrument. Real wealth, on the other hand, is solid, it's lasting, and it's growth. There are certain financial assets that generate income and returns which constitute wealth. If you own a real estate investment, this is a wealthy wealth instrument. Why? The rental income you earn from this investment is the wealth. Likewise, if you own a business, that business is your wealth instrument. And the profit you generate from that business is your wealth. If you own equities in a publicly quoted company, these equities are your wealth instruments. And the dividend income you earn from them constitutes your wealth. So imagine somebody who embezzles money. He has no wealth instruments. What he relies on is that position he occupies that gives him that opportunity. The moment he leaves that position, his money vanishes. Now, it's a dramatic and significant change in one's situation or condition. In this context, your desire is to achieve a dramatic and significant change from a position of dependence, where you are today, stage 1, to a position of influence, stage 4. In reality, moving from dependence to influence is difficult, but very possible. And it's also very possible to achieve it by quantum leap. Let me assure you that this process means that you are transforming yourself from poverty trap to a position of influence. The process is painstaking, it's methodical, it's time-consuming, it requires patience, it requires determination, it requires focus, it requires tenacity, it requires perseverance, it requires courage, and it requires you to be dogged. This journey from position of dependence to a position of influence is well laid out for you in my book, which I titled The Formula for Wealth. This chronicles my experience over 40 years in both the public and the private sector, in wealth creation, entrepreneurship, investing, and leadership. It's the book for you if you want to make this quantum leap and you want to transit from dependence to influence. First, I've had the president read out the statistics of those who are here today listening to me. And I'm happy that majority of you, almost 76% of you, are under the age of 35. For this journey, you are better positioned. You have time on your hands. All you need is minimum education of a school certificate. If you have a degree, it's an added bonus for you. However, what is important is that to succeed in this journey, you must imbibe what I call the rules, the foundational principle of wealth creation. They are set out in my book, chapter 6 of my book, and they are very, very important. If you don't imbibe these rules, there are 11 in number that I highlighted. It will be difficult, if not impossible, for you to make this transition. And I brought out these rules based on my own experience, interviewing thousands of wealthy people, and also having relationship with them. And these rules are universally tested. Let me start from, I don't have the time to go through the 11 rules, simply because I only have 30 minutes. But I will only mention 4 of them, and I will leave the rest to your imagination. And perhaps when you obtain a copy of the book, you will learn about these rules. The first one I want to mention is what I call your personal mindset. Most successful people think in a certain way. And if you have to be successful, you have to think like them. A study of the lives of those who feature at the Forbes list of the world's richest people reveals a recognizable thinking pattern and lifestyle. This mindset I'm talking about is usually created during your formative years. It's fundamentally shaped by stability as well as overall outlook in life. Named Thomas said that if you want to be a millionaire, you must learn to think like one. You must learn how to motivate yourself to counter fear with courage. The question to ask you is, do you have the right mindset to make this quantum leap? Do you have the courage? Are you the type that is afraid to take risk? Muhammad Ali said that he who is not courageous enough to take risk will accomplish nothing in life. Is there something in your upbringing that inhibits your ability to achieve success? You might have been raised by parents who constantly remind you that to be contented, poor, or you have to accept in life. Sometimes your parents that have conditioned your mind. I once had a friend in my teenage years. He was always busy hawking fashion wares, while the rest of us were playing football. His mom was a fabric trader, and his dad owned a factory producing underwears. And the mom encouraged him at that young age to be entrepreneurial. At that time, I used to wonder how he was able to do it. He had it in his blood, and he was raised in a household of entrepreneurs. His mindset was already shaped this way, and today is a very successful real estate investor. There are others who have the opposite upbringing. They grew up in a household where money and wealth were seen as the root of all evils, where they were taught that wealthy people are greedy and ungodly, or where they grew up watching their parents quarrel regularly over money. So they grew up with the fear that it's better to tread carefully. Some of them were conditioned to follow the footsteps of their parents, who started and ended their careers in a private or public service establishment and retired into penury. In all these cases, your mind can change the way negative towards creating a successful for yourself. You may have time to change that mindset. Once you face your situation now, and you are determined to make that quantum leap, I will recollect a personal example. In 1982, I was employed at the Central Bank of Nigeria. At that time, it was a good job. Everybody thought that I had arrived. My colleagues in the office were contented and they were happy. And he was fashionable to look at a career at the central bank as the ultimate. But at that time, I had a boss. He was a deputy director. He had been on the job for 30 years. And I studied him closely. And I wasn't happy with what I was seeing. I kept asking myself, if this man had been on this job for 30 years, and he was looking like this, always complaining about money and struggling, which means that if I stayed on this job for 30 years, I would likely end up like him. I was determined to move out of that workplace. I started searching for a better and bigger job elsewhere. What propelled me to do that was because at that time I had a dream. I was already dreaming of bigger things. I was already looking out and seeing people making waves in the banking industry. And I didn't want to get holed up at the central bank. I needed new challenges. Many of my colleagues were contented at that time with the job. But I'm glad that I took the steps I took at that time. That was what brought me to where I am today. I eventually got a better job in a merchant bank, which transformed my life. I was responsible for my quantum leap. If I had listened to others who advised me at that time to choose job security over the adventurism of moving to a private bank, I would not have ended up where I am today. The natural tendency of we human beings is to want to play it safe. Fear of the unknown. Where I am today, I'm okay. Why do I want to do something different? Then, if you are that kind of person, you are not ready to quantum leap. So, bother stay where you are. The second foundational principle I'm going to talk about is what I call personal and financial discipline. Anyone who wants to make a quantum leap must be disciplined personally and financially. A large majority of people lack personal discipline in their private and public life. Many people lack self-control, partly because of their upbringing, peer pressure, and societal expectation. Lack of discipline explains why most people in public office fail in discharge of their duties, and why Nigeria, our country, has a leadership problem. Indiscipline rages across our nation. It's gross indiscipline to litter the streets, to drive against traffic, to run traffic lights, to flout simple rules and regulations, to jump queues in public, to evade tax, to fail to honor simple contractual obligations, and so many other simple things. You will remain in discipline even if you get to a higher leadership position, and you will fail. Because when bigger responsibilities are entrusted with you, you will not be able to change. Your background is already in you. If Napoleon Hill, let me quote him, he said, if you do not conquer self, you will be conquered by self. Discipline matters in everything you do in life. You need discipline to stay healthy during this COVID period. Wear your mask. Maintain social distance. Don't go into crowd. But some people won't listen because indiscipline is in their blood. They don't follow rules. You need discipline to build a happy marriage. You need discipline to grow your finances and to make the quantum leap. Self-discipline is a major difference between those who succeed in life and those who do not. Successful people live a principled, centered life. They know that there are certain things you must give up if you must make a success in life. That is why you find situations where a lot of people come into big money, but because they are not disciplined, they crash. You have several stories of professional athletes, entertainers, politicians, those who sometimes come into big money But because they don't have that attribute of discipline, they crash eventually. An extension of personal discipline is financial discipline. One of the simplest ways to understand wealth and poverty is to view income and expenditure. You can become to exceed your expenditure. If you spend more than you cannot balance. Your life will not be balanced. Most young people with relatively good income never seem to make ends meet. They frequently struggle financially despite their income. They are perpetually broke, and they live from paycheck to paycheck. This is because they tend to live above their means. They carry a iPhone, they rather wear designer wears than basic brands. They want to dine in expensive restaurants. They want to take vacation to Dubai and other exotic places. All this extravagant lifestyle is better avoided when you are in stage 1 or stage 2 of your life if you want to make a quantum leap. This habit is a sign of indiscipline and could leave you trapped in poverty. For you to make a quantum leap, do away with extravagance, ostentatious consumption, wasteful spending, and wanting to be like other guys. If you don't discipline yourself today, that will discipline you eventually. You must make that conscious decision to discipline yourself financially. And the way to do it is to know that you have a goal. You want to make a quantum leap. And you know that to make that quantum leap, you need to put away money aside. You cannot afford to eat your dinner for breakfast. Because if you do, what will you eat when you get to the night time, evening time? If you are below age of 34, you need to make sacrifices. I recollect an incident, personal incident. In the 1990s, I was an assistant general manager at Guarantee Trust Bank. I was only 34 years old. And quarterly, they used to pay us bonuses. Luckily, at that time, by the time I got to that level, I'd already imbibed the formula for wealth in my spirit. I knew what I needed to do and where I was going. So I managed my expenditure. I lived a decent life, but not useful. There was this particular day, I was paid $500,000. It was a huge amount of money. And the first thing that came to my mind was I should take a vacation with my wife. I always dream of traveling to the south of Spain. And I called the travel agent, buy me tickets for the two of us. And as I was about to leave the office, my phone rang. And it was my stockbroker. And he said, "Hey, Femi, where are you?" And I said to you, I was to buy shares with money. Said, yes. Why? Said, well, later you will find out why. I'm your broker, I'm your advisor, the shares price are rising. Okay, I changed my mind. I didn't travel again. I bought the shares for 500K. 1 year down the line, the 500K shares of Nestle shares are transformed to over 3 million naira in value. And I sat back. I thought about it. If I'd gone on that trip, I would have enjoyed myself for the weekend and I would have forgotten about it. And it will have gone. But I created wealth just by being disciplined and listening to advice. The time to take that trip came later, when I was already in stage 4. There is time for everything. The time to make sacrifice. The time to put aside for the raining day. The time to enjoy. and the time to live well. If you are below 35 years of age, this is the time for you to put things aside for the rainy day. At that stage in my life, I was lucky. I was already knowledgeable about my formula for wealth. A lot of people today don't have that knowledge, and so they miss out on so many opportunities. And I'm giving you this opportunity today, as you are listening, that you still have a lot of time on your side. Mind you, I'm not implying that you should not enjoy yourself, the good things of life. All I'm saying is that wait for the right time. The right time will come. The third foundational principle that I will dwell on today is character and integrity. Integrity is defined simply as the adherence to moral and ethical principles, soundness of moral character, and honesty. It is safe to say that a large majority of our people lack integrity, particularly our leaders. They lack integrity as leaders because they lacked integrity in their younger days, and they carry these character flaws into leadership position. And I want to plead with you today that this particular value is very critical. Let me tell you, you cannot cut corners. If you lack character and you cut corners today, and it's to your advantage, and you make money and you grow in your career, you will crash eventually. There is no gainsaying. It is not lasting. You either have it or you don't have it. You either have it or you don't have it. And because of the lack of integrity, that we have this leadership problem in our country. And this is precisely why we are an underdeveloped country. A majority of our people are in poverty. Integrity and influence and wealth are synonymous. You cannot be wealthy and influential if you don't have integrity. Don't be carried away by the hush puppies of this world. That is, those who have stolen billions and seem to be living a good life. So the small minds, these are people of influence and power. But for discerning and mature minds, these are empty barrels. They have money, but they don't have wealth. And in no time will disappear. Most people who are truly influential and wealthy are people of integrity and strong character. They place a premium on character, on transparency, on trustworthiness, reliability, and faithfulness. According to Warren Buffett, the fourth richest man in the world, he said that there are three things you have for a person: intelligence, energy, and integrity. If they don't have the last one, do not bother with the first two. Integrity is challenging foundational. It's challenging because and by institutions that don't have it. And sometimes you compromise yourself, particularly if you don't have that value entrenched in you. I am fortunate. I was trained and tutored when I became a founding member. When I became a founding member of Guarantee Trust Bank in the 1990s. The foundation of that bank at the time we started was integrity, and it was not compromised. For 7 years I was in that bank. I learned it, I lived it, and it became very useful for me by the time I became managing director of another bank. and became much more useful by the time I became Deputy Governor of Lagos State. And still today, I try my best to live that principle-centered life. But unfortunately, the situation has degenerated. It's almost the norm today to be corrupt because everyone seems to have lost their sanity. Some young people do internet scam for a living, and they are celebrated by their parents and their peers. Some do frauds, forgeries, certificate racketing, examination malpractices, and if they get away with it, they think that is cool. But it's not cool, because you get away with it today, you will not get away with it tomorrow. The fourth principle I will touch on briefly is the principle of dreaming dreams and having determination to achieve these dreams. I say to you today, you want to make that quantum leap. Start dreaming about your ultimate destination. What is your goal? What is your passion? Where do you want to be 10, 15 years time today? Let it occupy your mind. Let it be the main distraction in your life. Your dream is your ultimate goal. It's at the center of your thought process. Many underachievers don't have dreams. They never believe they can ever grow to be big. They limit themselves to their comfort zone, and they remain underachievers perpetually. I once asked 3 persons, how long will it take to buy a BMW? The first person said, wow, probably will take me 3-4 years, a beautiful car. I love it. The second person gave me the same answer. The third person says, wow, this is my dream. It's something that I would love to own a car company as big as BMW. Now you can see the difference between person 1, person 2, and person 3. Person 1 is thinking of BMW, the car. Person 2, the same thing. The third person is thinking of buying BMW, the company. They have 3 different dreams. The person who is dreaming of buying the company, if eventually doesn't buy the company, he might get to buy something closer to that. That is the power of dreams. And if you don't have dreams, you cannot achieve much. These are just 4 out of the 11 transformational principles of wealth in my book. The rest are equally important, and I advise you to get a copy of the book and read it thoroughly. By the time you have imbibed the rules, please, I want the moderator to let me know if my time is getting nearer. By the time you have imbibed these rules, you are all set to move from stage 1 poverty trap to stage 2 on the way to prosperity. By the time you are on stage 2, you have decided on your path to prosperity. You already have a dream. You have a passion. You know your destination. Maybe the only thing now you lack is the knowledge how to get there. This book will give you some aspects of that knowledge. But let me touch on 2 major paths to get to that level. After imbibing the foundational principles that I mentioned in my book. The first path, you can decide you want to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is a path to wealth creation. But to do it right and successfully, you must understand some fundamental principles of entrepreneurship. When I was writing my book, I did a survey of entrepreneurs in Nigeria. I picked out randomly 500 entrepreneurs from across the country. And the results that came out of the survey was astounding. Over 85% of them are struggling. They are still in stage 1. Only about 15% I could categorize as successful in stage 3 or stage 4. And I asked them in the survey why they gave me several reasons they gave me were among for the reasons were lack of capital, poor infrastructure, government regulation, taxes are too high. Those are considered important reasons, but they are not the critical reason why they were not successful. They were not successful because they did not have strong fundamentals. Many of them went into entrepreneurship because they were either forced to go into entrepreneurship or they had no choice. They saw it as a way out, a get-out card. They did not study, understand what they were getting into. They didn't have the training. Part of my foundational principle is that you must be mentored. You must keep the right company. You must serve as apprentice under somebody who is already in that business and understand it very well before you jump into it. And by the time you are starting, the first thing you do is to commission a business plan, not the cut and paste business plan, the one prepared for you and with you by a professional. It is that business plan that will tell you the level of capital you need to run a successful business. Most people started their business with shoestring money, borrow money from family, friends, and jump they are in. And they start to struggle from day one because a business that is undercapitalized will not grow. They will now find out that to raise money from the bank is too expensive. And the kind of money they need is beyond their means. The second reason is that practically everybody that I surveyed who are struggling are doing it alone. You cannot run a successful company alone by yourself. Most Nigerian entrepreneurs are running their businesses alone. You cannot carry a load on your head with just one hand. You need other people. You cannot be perfect to know finance, to know technical, to know marketing, to know accounting, to know results, and to also have all the money. If lucky, you start with good support, have money. Your father gave you a lot, or you are able to get family members, or you have inherited some. So just have enough money, and it's your dream. I haven't gone through those foundational principles. We should learn to partner with that. We should learn to carry people along.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Fundamentals of entrepreneurship in my okay. I should round up.
Wow.
Okay, let me quickly before I round up. It might be a career.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much.
Put you in a position of influence. You might be working in an establishment.
Okay. I think the network has started being unfriendly for now. If you can hear me, sir. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir. We do appreciate it. The network has been unfriendly for a while now, but we can hear you, and we really appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Femi Pedro. We've learned a lot. We've learned today that having money is not wealth. Money is liquid, so it can go off at any time. And we've also learned the okay. Thank you very much once again, sir. So we've learned about changing the position. Okay, if you can hear me, sir. Okay, we've learned about changing the position.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We've learned about changing the position from dependent to the level of influence. It's touching, and I think that's what many of our young people don't have now. They don't know how to change that level from the level of dependence to the level of influence. You've also spelled out a lot of requirements to get to that level of influence, talking about patience, talking about determination, tenacity, perseverance, courage, doggedness, and painstaking. These are the requirements that we've learned that, to move to that level of influence. You also give us a number of rules and principles that will help us to achieve this quantum leap to the level of influence. And you talked about the first, which is the personal mindset of someone. That's learning the the mindset of those that have achieved greatness, the successful people. You also told us to have personal and financial discipline all around, personal discipline in everything we do. We also learned about integrity. These are the stages, the principles that will take us to that level of influence. Integrity, talking about dreaming dreams, and having determination to achieve these dreams too. You've told us that, and these are great insights that perhaps we might have not gotten these insights earlier, which would have taken us to this level of influence. But now that we are learning it through this leadership summit, we do hope that we would get to that leadership, the level of influence. Very quickly, sir, we have some questions from our people. They've been sending in their questions. Those are listening on watching on Facebook, on the DCLM radio, and also on YouTube. We have one question here that says, what are the groundbreaking skills of leadership in Nigeria? If you can hear me, sir, I don't know if you would like to pick the questions one after the other, or I can just read through them. The first is saying, what are the groundbreaking skills of leadership in Nigeria, sir?
Okay. Other question. Let me take all the questions.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. The second one is, how do I know my current stage in life? You told us about the 4 stages. So, as a young person, how do I know my current stage in life? And another question says, can ego destroy one's wealth plan? Can ego destroy one's wealth plan? Okay, you might want to answer those 3 questions, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes, the groundbreaking skills of leadership are the ones that I mentioned as the foundational principles. It is not taught in school. It must be imbibed by you. Those are the principles of discipline, the principles of integrity, the principle of having a leadership mindset, having confidence in yourself, and ready to take up mantle of leadership. These are the foundational or groundbreaking skills that you need. And as you grow in your career, you will begin to learn other skills of leadership. You begin to understand the fact that as a leader, you are carrying a lot of responsibility. You must walk the talk. You must show good examples. You must be role model. You must not only say things, but you must live it. Your followers are not only hearing you, but they are watching you. So these are the groundbreaking skills of leadership. How do I know my current stage in life? I've already described it. If today you are renting an apartment where you live, you are on salary, you are always broke, waiting for the month to end, living from paycheck to paycheck, you are on stage 1. You are in poverty trap. If you are not careful, you will stay in that stage 1 for another 30 years. It's very simple to forget yourself in stage 1. You can be in that stage today, get promotion in your office to the next level, get it to the next level, become a manager, and a senior manager, and you will still be in stage 1. Because even if your salary is tripled today, if you don't learn the act of financial discipline, you will continue to spend all that you earn. You will always be broke. Somebody once came to me and said that I should loan him money to start a business. And I said, how much do you need to start your business? He said, 3 million naira. I said, fine. How much have you saved to start your business? He said, save, okay. How can I save? I've been working for 35 years. There's no room for saving. I said, if you can't save for 35 years, you cannot run a business. You will fail. I told him simply, he didn't like my answer, but that is the reality of it. If I wanted to waste my money, I would have given it to him. He would not have run a good business. So if you don't have that habit, you will not find it easy. So your current stage in life is what I've just described. Because you have no wealth instrument, you have no real estate property, you have no investment in shares and stocks, you have no savings account anywhere that is earning you interest. You have no investment in other things that you can think of. All you do is just collect your salary, chop it every month, wait, 26th of the month you are broke, you are counting the days, you are looking for hours, and the day they track you at work, you are in disarray. You start begging people, you need money for accommodation, you need money to feed. That should not be your situation. The last question, can ego destroy your wealth? One's wealth.
Your plan, yes.
Yes. Ego is negative. It's not a foundational principle. If you have ego that think you are thinking too highly of yourself, you are not ready to learn, you are not humble. Humility is very important in wealth creation. You are ready to acquire knowledge. You are ready to submit yourself to people who have achieved better than you, whether they are older than you or not. And you want to learn under them. You want to stand on their shoulders so you can see farther away. That is pocketing your ego, accepting the fact that you are a student and you want to learn to become a master. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. That's Mr. Femi Pedro, the chairman of the board of SMEDAN and former deputy governor of Lagos State. We do appreciate your presence today, sir. We have learned a lot. You have given us shown us the ladder at which we can climb to the level of influence. Thank you very much, and God bless you, sir. We appreciate your presence. Okay, we'll go straight to the panelist section. We want to also appreciate those that are watching us everywhere, all around the world, on Facebook, on YouTube, and also listening to us over the radio, the Deeper Life Channel Radio. We appreciate you. And on Facebook, you can also give us an emoji of thumbs up if you are enjoying the program. Just express yourself there on Facebook and other platforms at which you're using to watch the program and enjoying the program today. As fast as we can, we'll be getting into the panelist session now. And for this panelist discussion, they will be talking about leadership, the search for world changers and innovators. Leadership, the search for world changers and innovators. We'll be having on this panel, I will be handing over to the moderator of this panel in person of Daniel Bambanyi, the president of the YPF. He will be anchoring this session while he also bring up the panelists to the stage. Thank you very much, Mr. Bambanyi. It's up to you.
Thank you very much, beloved Lani. We want to appreciate Mr. Femi Pedro for that time. We really appreciate the fact that you were able to share your insights with young people who are on their journey to the top. All right, this session is going to take the form of a panel discussion. I'll introduce the session, and then I'll bring on the speakers who are going to be participating in this session. In this session today, we're going to be having three panelists: Mr. Paul Kokoricha, Mr. Barrister Uchenna Uwecha, and Mr. John Eno. Now, I'll just do a bit introduction, and then we can bring up the panelists. Mr. Paul Kokoricha is a partner at Africa Capital Alliance Limited. The company operates as a private equity firm with focus on the real estate, oil and gas business services, and telecom sector. He is on the board of directors at Continental Reinsurance, ACCAT Nigeria, or ACAT Nigeria Limited, Compact Disc Technology Nigeria Limited, No Metro Retail Nigeria Limited, Resourcery PLC, Sweep Networks, and Johnny Communication West Africa. Mr. Kokoricha received his first degree in economics from the University of Nigeria and is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. You're very much welcome to this panel this morning, sir.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be in your midst. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. All right. So please welcome him with a clap emoji on the comment section of this, the live stream. All right. Also on the panel today is Mr. John Eno. Mr. John Eno is a proven software architect and integration engineer with extensive experience architecting on premise and in cloud. He's worked with Ericsson Group in Africa, Middle East, Latin America, and the USA for more than a decade. And he has also worked with American Defense Contract DSX technology before giving birth to his own software and smart device startup company called BeepTool, which is based in Lagos, Nigeria. He's also currently a managing delivery architect at Capgemini North America Incorporated in the USA, with specialty in data warehouse, big data analytics, GCP, and Azure. He's a seasoned entrepreneur. He's an expert in cloud computing, container artificial intelligence, satellite communication, TV white spaces, and IT business technology. He holds a BSc in computer science from Benue State University in Makurdi, and an MSc in software systems engineering from Heriot-Watt University in Edinburgh, UK, United Kingdom. You're very much welcome to this panel discussion this morning, sir.
Thank you so much, and God bless you.
All right, it's a pleasure. All right, the third person we're going to be engaging with this morning is Barrister Uchenna Uwecha. Barrister Uchenna Uwecha is currently the company secretary and legal director for GSK entities in Nigeria and Anglophone West African region. He joined the company in 2006, but before that, he has worked as the general counsel and company secretary at the defunct Gulf Bank of Nigeria PLC, and he has engaged extensively in legal private practice with Judge Itomi and Partners, a leading commercial law firm. He holds a Bachelor's of Law degree from the University of Science and Technology, Port Harcourt, and a master's degree in law from the University of Lagos, and he was called to bar in 1991. Barrister Uche is a solicitor and an advocate at the Supreme Court of Nigeria and a member of the Nigeria Bar Association. You're very much welcome to this session, sir. Your mic is unmuted, okay. Oh, okay, we can't seem to hear you. Please check your mic. We seem to be experiencing some technical difficulty with Barrister Uche. Okay. In the meantime, while we expect him to rejoin the session, I'm going to just start by introducing this session. And it's been mentioned earlier in my earlier address that everything rises and falls on leadership. When we speak about leadership, leadership can be multifaceted, from self-leadership to positional leadership. Because I know there are people here who might be thinking, well, I don't stand above so many people. How am I going to be applying some of the things I'm going to be learning today? There is a concept of leadership that speaks to self-leadership, which is what helps you be able to focus on a goal and ensure that you achieve them. That ability to lead yourself is very important for you to be able to begin to lead others. And it's also very critical to point out the fact that leadership is influence. And for people to follow a leader, there must be some sort of influence in that engagement. And to get influence, there must be something that you have that people can look up to. And that's what gives you influence. And that's why today we are bringing together our panelists who have shown, some kind of value over time. They have led and people have followed. They have showed value, in their different spheres. And today we're bringing them so that they can share their experience with, the young people who are on their the top. All right, so I'll start the session by asking, so what I'll do is to ask you to take an opening salvo to share your thoughts on the subject of leadership and the search for world changers and innovators, after which we will take rounds of questions, and at the end, you'll take a closing remark. Technical, do we have Mr. Barrister Uche? Okay. All right, before he joins us, Mr. Paul Kokorisha, can we hear your thoughts on the subject of leadership and the search for world changers and innovators?
So thank you very much, Daniel Balubayo. Once again, it's my pleasure to be your midst. Let me give you a little bit of additional background because it's important to do this in the context of your personal background. We're giving a brief sort of summary, but let me just add additional comments, right? So I went to school at the State University of Nigeria, so I studied economics. But when I was studying economics, I also had a friend who had great influence on me. I knew that I wanted to do something more than economics, so I got interested in accounting right in school. And then I came, and when I graduated, I went to a premier sort of accounting training firm. At Anderson, at that time, was a premier accounting training firm, right? That attracted young people. I was very young, right? When I left school. And then I had a career, had about 10 years of career, rose to a senior manager position at Anderson, and then went to banking. And then before I came to African Capital Alliance, where I am today. And the reason I'm putting that context is very important, right? That Daniel mentioned personal leadership. So personal leadership meaning that you take responsibility for what you want to do in life, and then you are self-accountable to yourself, and measure yourself, and aim for that which you have purpose for yourself. And if you're disciplined enough, and if you apply yourself rigorously, and you work hard at it, you will achieve a level of mastery that will make you, first of all, a leader. So it's very important that I put that. So that's important, right? Apart from then, that personal level of leadership, as you grow in your career, as you grow in your business, as you grow in your chosen endeavor, you begin to exercise the level of influence in people, in showing them how to do, in inspiring them, in managing them, in coaching and mentoring, and you then provide a leadership at an organizational level. And we can then even extend that to leadership at other sort of forum and then even at the national level. So, for example, I'm also the chairman of the board of the Private Equity and Venture Capital Association of Nigeria. So I think it's good to just have those. Now, talking about world changers and innovators, I think it's very I consider it extremely topical. Just giving what's passing through today, and I like to illustrate maybe one of the examples. I know that I probably have very short trying to do this, right? So let me just illustrate with one example, right? So if you look at a company called Zoom, for example, Zoom started somewhere in America, and I remember when they did their IPO. Zoom, by the way, was just conceptualized very small. They did their IPO. I think it was about at a market capitalization of 19 billion, right? Now, just over this period, because they sort of invested over this period, given the situation and circumstances that we're in, having innovated, having provided, a platform that enables us, to work, in this current environment. The market capitalization today is over 50 billion. That IPO was in 2019. So between 2019, yeah, I think it was 2019, if I remember very well. Yeah, 2000, maybe earlier than 2019. But a very short period of time. So you can see how, realistic that that transformation has had, I'll say, globally, and has had on the company. That is an example of an innovator and world changer. Thank you very much, Daniel.
All right, thank you very much for that insight. Now, I quickly go to Mr. John Eno. Can you share your opening remarks, your opening thoughts on this subject of the search for world changers and innovators?
Okay, thank you very much for having me on, and the Lord bless you from very early for us in the United States. Actually, in a moment of crisis, people look at leaders for solutions. People look for people that have strategies and people that have can change the environment. And so when you talk of leadership, especially in this time that we have what we call pandemic attack, about the COVID-19 globally, it's an important way of looking at things. And so when we talk of leaders and innovation in general, are people that cause change where there are no change, people that do things extraordinary, and people that go beyond their mindset, and people that have a mind of being patient. For us, let me say, many of I'm not here to criticize really. I'm here to point out and then for us to really begin to work on. Looking at leadership, one key thing I've learned as person, either leadership in the business industry or in the IP industry, or even from the church perspective, is that a leader has to be very, very patient, and a leader has to be intentional. Even where there are failure, you must never give in to those failures. Like that is one of my God's giving grace that I don't, even though I see some failure, I know that one day I'm going to succeed. And my encouragement to everyone looking at me or watching this morning is that you must not give in to failure. People easily give up, especially in developing nations. People are impatient, maybe trying to make it and trying to do a lot of things. In that sense, they don't utilize what we call strategic ways that will help them to improve. For instance, about Houston, the innovator or inventor of electric bulb, you can see that he tried for a long time. And today we see that he is the leader. You cannot talk of electricity without going back to him. So a leader does not have what we call a failure in their dictionary, and same thing as an innovator. Because of our time, I won't be able to talk so much, but people are looking at leaders, especially this time for a solution. A leader look for solution to solve problem, and we see how we can discuss together. Thank you, and God bless you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you very much. So leaders are solution providers. They don't give up. They are persistent until they achieve their set goal. Thank you very much for that insight, sir. Move to Barrister Uchenna Uwecha. Can you give us your opening salvo on this subject of the search for world changers and innovators?
Yeah, thank you very much, Daniel, and for our audience that are listening from
all over the world, because this is a global broadcast, as I can see. I find the subject matter very interesting because it lies at the very center of whether we are really going to succeed or not. And I'll start by saying that we can never change the world unless we first change ourselves. There is this saying that whatever the mind of a man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Nobody ever changed the world unless you find a spot in the world where you can stand and then you can move the universe. And I want to say that today, the greatest challenge we have in finding world changers and innovation is in our mindset. As a man thinketh, so he is. And until we begin to realize that at the very center of our being is our ability to conceptualize the world as we want it to be. It is that dreaming. Mr. Pedro talked about your dreams. You shall dream dreams and see vision. It's about your dreams, your vision, your mission, your passion, your sacrifice, your ability to risk all, achieving that one thing that you believe will make a difference to this world. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite us to a new way of thinking, a new way of visualizing our world. Take away the spectacle we are looking at the world with, the spectacle of failure. Everything is bad. We can't do it. Absolutely ridiculous. China was a third world country less than 50 years ago. But they took off that thinking and began to say, we can do it. Remember, originally, made in China was bad. Today, made in China, made for China, is some of the best products in the world. So I want to round up by saying this, that you can only get from the world what you expect. If you expect this country to be a failure, welcome. But I want to say to you that there are people here today who believe that the challenges of Nigeria today is the stepping stone for us to turn around this country and make it what it ought to be. And I think that the quantum leap, the sudden change, the radical transformation is what we need today. And we're in the right forum, and hopefully we're going to leave this place with fire burning in our bone and with strong views and ideas in our own circles, in our own little worlds. Will begin to change the world. And before you know it, this country, this continent, indeed, the whole world will become a different place. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that powerful insight. So the change begins with a change of mindset, and it's important for you to begin to change from your little corner. Thanks a lot. We appreciate your insight. All right, so I'll go begin to ask questions so that we can learn from your experience, because you have walked the road of leadership. My first question is going to go to Mr. Paul Okoricha. And I'd like to say that it's very clear from your profile that you're on the board of quite a number of organizations. In fact, the list I had here, you added another one to it by the time you were giving your remark. So in my mind, I'm asking, what is that thing that endears you to being nominated to the board of organizations? You know, the first time I heard your name was while I was in a conversation at some point with some partner that were in diaspora, and we're trying to float a company. And the name that came to mind to say, oh, can we make this person the board chairman, was your name. You know, though that didn't happen eventually, but your name was the name that came to mind at that time when that person overseas was suggesting someone of value or virtue that can be the board chairman of that organization. So what is that thing that endears you? You know, what is that thing? How can young people who are looking to get to where you are today, what are those principles they must begin to build now if they are going to be able to get to that point where they are endeared to being put in such leadership position in valuable organization?
Thank you very much, Daniel. Thanks for that. Let me say, in the corporate world, typically is the shareholders, right, is the suppliers of equity or the owners of businesses that appoint directors to the board to provide oversight over the business. So a clear route or a clear route from we also put it is to the board is working to becoming an owner of the business, right? Working to be an entrepreneur, and then owning a business or part owning a business, and that gives you an access, right, to get to the board of a company. That is one part, to the boardroom. The second part to the boardroom, which is very important, is you increasingly making continuous investment in yourself and developing yourself in your career in such a manner that you are able to get to the top of your career. If you're working typically in organizations, a corporate sort of organization, when you get to that top of your career, I'll say that you're likely to become a board member, right? Maybe an executive board member. And then the third pathway I mentioned is a pathway of also becoming either a subject matter expert, an industry expert, a sector expert, that then endears you to be appointed parties to come on board. By the way, when boards are being composed, right, people take a number of things into consideration. Apart from the owners having certain number of representatives of the board to provide oversight, on their capital and on management, people also complement the board, ensure that the board is sort of a complementary set, by bringing in subject matter experts, industry experts, people that have had, senior management, operational, experience in their various fields of study. So I would say that, just giving the role that I play, private equity is about investing in equity of businesses, right? So given that role, I speak for the capital that I put to work. So by virtue of that, I don't get nominated on the board. There are some boards that I get nominated for other reasons, including the reasons I just mentioned. I'm chairman of the board of the Private Equity and Venture Capital Association of Nigeria by virtue of the fact that I'm a practitioner in that field and having played a pioneering role, having played a pioneering role in Nigeria in that field. Maybe I'll stop there for that, Daniel. Any other questions, follow-on questions, I can take them.
All right, thank you very much. So developing oneself to be such a subject matter expert is a very vital, component of one of the things that will endear one to leadership and management positions. And also you had mentioned that sometimes it's as a result of your past ownership of the organization. Thank you very much for that. Now, in the light of what had just been mentioned around the fact that there is a need to develop oneself and grow to be able to sometimes get to the point where you are able to be nominated to the board of the organization, I'd like to ask Mr. Uche Uwecha, your rise to the position of company secretary and legal director at GSK Nigeria and other Anglophone countries is inspiring, I must say. Can you tell us what are some of the tips that we need to take note as young professionals who aspire to rise to senior leadership position in our career?
Thank you, Daniel. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you very much. I just noted Paul's name down. Fortunately, this is my first time of meeting him on digital platform, and it's interesting. What struck me was that when he was talking about how he got to where he got to, he spoke about being an expert. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no other secret if we are going to get very far in whatever you chose to do. And I want to stop at this point to say that, ladies and gentlemen, it is not everybody that can be an entrepreneur. So don't feel bad if you don't think that the entrepreneurial juice is not flowing in you. I want to let you know that you can still be very successful in supporting the dreams that entrepreneurs dream. If you look at the history of the leading companies in the world, yes, we have the gentleman, the richest man, the founder of Amazon. You have Bill Gates, you have Warren Buffett, you have Mark Zuckerberg, but you know that behind them are equally successful and innovative individuals who are translating their dreams into reality. So the truth is this: if you cannot dream dreams, find those who can dream and help them to achieve their dreams. In so doing, you yourself will also be successful. So I'll quickly point out a few points that I found useful. Number one is that I strive to be a subject matter expert in my field. It doesn't make sense if I go to the board meeting and then the directors are telling me about the latest cases, the latest statutes, the latest development in law. That doesn't help. So number one, you have to be a subject matter expert in your field. Number two, you have to know the business you are working in. As a lawyer, I've worked in a bank as their general counsel. I'm currently working in a pharmaceutical and consumer healthcare company. When I get there, I put aside my legal learning and then I delve into the business to understand. Because the truth is that if you don't understand the business you are involved in, even as an entrepreneur, you need to know, to read, to invest, to go to training, to ensure you understand the dynamics of the field while you're operating in. So be an expert, know the business. Number three, Mr. Femi Pedro mentioned this. It is, and I think John also mentioned it, to be solution-minded, be a solution provider. The truth is this: people will always go to where they find solution. Then I found out volunteering was also very important to me. So when there's a project to be done, I'll raise up my hand. Who want to be involved? I raise up my hand. Who want to get, it doesn't have to be illegal, in different aspects. So you find out that when people see that you are willing and ready to volunteer your time, the reality is that they'll be looking forward to you. And then finally, to that point, I want to say that you should have the courage to stand on your principles. You must have principles. And then sometimes you have to stand alone and then be a professional, understand the dictates and the demands of your profession, and then build partnerships, make people look good, support them to achieve their own goals. Your suppliers, your vendors, even your cleaning services, everybody build partnership, because the truth is that one day or the other, you will need those bridges to cross over to where you want to get to. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that insight. So you need to volunteer, you need to be a subject matter expert, you need to support others, you need to, be available, always, ensuring that you are someone that is visible in the organization. Thank you very much for those insights. Now I move to Mr. John Eno. Mr. John, your profile very well fits the profile of an innovator. I know that your company is a pioneer in terms of the use of TV white spaces for powering internet, and you have an AI-enabled smartphone, and it's amazing to see that you're doing all of these things. Now, I'll ask you a question. How did you ever come across these ideas? How do they, these ideas come to say that you can do this, and then you begin to pursue it? And then what are the enablers of innovative thinking from your experience?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Yes, like they have all stated, as an innovator is a dreamer, an innovator is a visionary person, an innovator is a solution provider and a problem solver. And the African community, or starting from Nigeria, is the right place to provide solution, because there are problems everywhere. And so as an innovator, you must be proactive in looking for solutions and solving them. And the truth is that if you are looking for money, if you want to be hard, if you want to be a leader, when you solve a problem, automatically you will become a leader. And that is how the world operates, especially in the world of, in the industry, that is how it operates. And so people that provide solutions or solve problems are the great people. And so for us, we look at, for us in Deep 2, I look at basically what ignited me was observation from a lot of problems that are happening in Africa. In fact, in Nigeria alone, more than 73 million people don't even have internet as we speak today, right? And from what is in existence, we have radio communication everywhere, even in the northern part of the country. You see politicians buy radio transistor for people to even listen to when they don't have internet, when they don't have a smartphone. And so we think of that how can we leverage on an existing tool or technology to solve problem. And we look at TV white space, which is an unused spectrum that is actually available everywhere to broadcast internet. And this is actually what we are working on seriously by the grace of God, and it's really everywhere. So what ignites me as a person and people that work with me is that we want to solve problems, a problem that are very tough. Like in Nigeria now, problem of electricity, problem of data, they don't have internet. And the truth about it is that if you have all these resources available to you, you can do everything. So my encouragement to every one of you is to look for problem and solve it. And when you are solving a problem, sometimes people may not understand you, but understand that you are the dreamer and you must continue to focus on the dream. Don't be discouraged. And before this time, that is why I talk of never giving up spirit. You have to stand, even when you fail, you have to continue driving. And you have to be also be proactive in working towards your innovation. And sometimes you have to learn. For me as a person, I think I've almost worked across the continent of the world. I used to work for Ericsson for almost a decade. It's a communication industry. And so I understand the communication world very well. I know the dot my I and to cross my T, especially software related stuff, and how I can also improve what I've learned over the time and do it in a unique way, especially engineering those thinking to fit the African community or Nigeria specifically, because for every geographical area, there are different problems, and you need to look at it and solve it that way. So understanding the problem, understanding the situation rather than complaining is very important. I see that the truth is that people complain so much, especially for us in Africa, there is no electricity. But what have you done personally within your domain? One of the speakers said, until you change your own self, you cannot change the world. And that is just a simple truth. Until you change to provide solution around yourself, you cannot provide solution to anybody. And that is why you must look at various problems that you have. Yes, there are no money. Yes, there is no job. What are you doing to create job for yourself? So you must be very innovative. You must be proactive. You must look for problems and solve them. And then, of course, when you solve the problem, you will be anywhere you want to be. And people will definitely look for you. If you look at people, the great people, in fact, may his soul rest in peace, the owner of Apple, in fact, that is Steve Jobs. He did a lot of things. So he has a forward thinking. He was thinking ahead. He must also think ahead. And somebody talk about Zoom. Zoom was nothing really before the pandemic, but now he's so happy because this is what he's doing. Zoom is worth $49 billion as we speak today, just within a short month. And so what I'm saying to you is that if you solve problem, there is problem everywhere. Issue of insecurity, issue of lack of electricity. There are renewable energy you can queue to. In fact, I was studying some time ago in a country like Kenya in Africa. Some people, even from the village, from the rural stream, they are trying to see how they can generate electricity. And so what I'm saying is that you must overcome the criticism, you must overcome your problem and look for solution to enable this world. So don't allow the problem to overcome you. overcome the solution by always not giving up and by always looking out. If you can't get it, you can get somebody that can help you. And that is how it works. Thank you very much. And if there are other questions, we can continue with that.
All right. Thank you very much. That's very insightful. Proactive problem solving, be solution focused. Always trying to look for something that, is not working that you can fix is very critical to being an innovator. And you did mention that sometimes people might not even understand the direction you're going, but you're the dreamer, you're the one who has the insights, the direction you're pursuing. And so you must remain resolute, notwithstanding the challenges that come along the way in the pursuit of that dream. Thank you very much for sharing that insight. Now I move back to Mr. Paul Kokoricha, and I'd like to pose this question to you. By virtue of your experience as someone who has quite a number of leadership, positions you're holding. Now, as we rise to positional leadership, there is a tendency to be bogged down with so many activities and so many things you need to pay attention to. In fact, in my little portfolio, sometimes people tell me, how do you put these things together? How do you manage these things together? So I'd like to ask you, from your experience, how do you ensure you are able to manage your multiple portfolio successfully and efficiently? And in times when you need to delegate, how do you, do it in such a way that you are able to balance everything that has to be done to be able to achieve your set goals?
Thanks, Daniel. Again, to answer the question, as I said, I'm a partner in the private equity firm. We started our first fund in 1998. In then we raised 5 funds, right? And they've invested in quite a number of portfolio companies across several sectors. And I'm the fund manager. So by virtue of that, so I have responsibility, for providing general oversight to the team, the in-house team that is managing these portfolio companies across several sectors, across several economic cycles that we have gone through, right? So that's one. So number 2, I also then, work with a number of the management teams. When I say managers, I guess management CEOs, hire them, provide, a basis for them to be motivated, incentivize. I work with them in terms of plans and all of that to ensure that the returns are made. So that's another layer of sort of responsibility. Now, I also mentioned another layer which I haven't mentioned, the fact that I also play a leadership role in the church, right? So I also have quite a number of platforms that I have to provide leadership, and all of that. Of course, not to talk of, there's also a family that you have to look after. So I needed to provide that perspective so that, the insight I'll give will be helpful. I will go back to my days in Arthur Andersen. Arthur Andersen is like I said, an American accounting firm, was brought to Nigeria by a gentleman called Dick Kramer. Dick Kramer has been my long-standing mentor. In fact, he just came to Nigeria in 1979, returned to America about 2 years ago when he was over 80 years. So he's been a long-standing mentor. And he taught me something very early in Arthur Andersen, right? And that, if you want to really manage a diverse sort of responsibilities, such as I've described to you, complicated, complex. By the way, some of these are sort of, you manage through complicated and complex situations. So, which I don't go into details, right? There will be challenges. I manage to those complex and situations. But he has also told us something, that number 1, hire people that are potentially better than you. Hire people that are potentially higher than you. Because I do a lot of hiring. I hire CEOs for companies. I hire people in my office. So I always then take that in mind, that for my work to be made easier, for me to have for me to achieve my results, I have to work through people. And then I know that I have to walk through people that potentially are better than me and then can deliver. Some people may think, why should I hire somebody that's better than me? Is the person not going to, take over, me or whatever? But the answer is no. The answer is no. The truth of the matter is that, you then focus on the things that matter most, particularly that those people are not able to do. The things that matter most, that those people are not able to focus on them. So I'll say that counsel has been very helpful to me in my career. So the first thing is, in managing complexities like this and complex responsibilities, hire people that are better than you. Number two, then train them very well. You better give them the best of training that you can afford. You train them extremely well. By the way, training not only equips people with skills and tools, it gives them right sort of attitudes. It gives them inspiration, it motivates them, endears them to the organization, it makes them more aligned to your goals, etc., etc. Then you empower them. You better empower them. When somebody knows how to swim, if you're teaching somebody how to swim, you taught him a while, let him go and swim himself. So you empower the person. You're able to, when I say empower, I'm saying you have to give them the latitude to be able to take decisions, and then if they do make mistakes, you then coach and mentor them and correct them out of those mistakes. And then the last thing I would say is that you don't incentivize the people, right? Financially, you incentivize them financially. So when I hire CEOs for the businesses that we're invested in, I make sure that in terms of long-term sort of wealth creation and all of that, is well aligned, with us in terms of the fact that we're also providing capital and looking to make good returns, after a period of time. If we do this, you find out that we will have people that will almost feel that they are working for themselves. They'll be inspired. They'll be motivated. They will be endeared to the organizational goals and your goals as well.
All right, thank you very much for that insight. It's very great to hear that, to learn some of these skills, because as we begin to grow, it might become gradually increasingly difficult to manage the many responsibilities coming our ways. But learning to know that it's important for us to hire people that are potentially even smarter than us, paying them very well so that they, feel that they are getting value for their time in the engagement, and coaching them, giving them enough power to, take decisions, to act, and then coaching them where they make mistakes. And then I think these are valuable points that you have raised here. And I believe that as many young professionals are listening to this, putting pen to paper and trying to see how they can make use of these learnings. All right, so I'll move to Mr. Uchenna Uwecha. Mr. Paul mentioned that he's a pastor. I want to let you know that Mr. Paul Kukoricha, Mr. Uche Uwecha is also a pastor. And I want to ask you this question. You've been high achieving, and you've been able to rise to the top of, in your career journey. And it's often believed that there is something called office politics that needs to be played for you to be able to rise to the top. And I want you to advise young professionals who are listening today on how can they stay visible, especially in organizations where performance metrics are not well defined, and you can have some idlers who will just show up towards appraisal period, and then they seem to be doing so much, and then the less charismatic young person that is out there is easily overshadowed. So he's struggling to get to the top, but he's finding it difficult because there are some people that know how to somewhat play the office politics to get themselves in the front. What lessons, what can you tell us on how to maneuver our way to the top in the organization?
Yeah, thank you very much, Daniel. And these are very, very important questions. And I want our young and upcoming executives to listen very well. First of all, I want to remind you that Nigeria did not start by being ruled by septuagenarians, octogenarians. No. I think it's because of some challenges in our fundamental makeup. When I looked at people like Muritala Muhammad, Gowon, or Obasanjo, they were leaders at the highest level in their late 20s and early 30s. In fact, they are our contemporaries. But I think the challenge is because we are falling into what I call an illusion, an optic illusion, which is what has brought us to where we are as a country. Now, let me start in my journey as a professional. Number one, when I get to a company, I make it very clear that I'm a Christian. You see, this is very important because if you try to run with the hares and hunt with the hunts, you will lose out because they will begin to ask you for things that you will not be able to do, and you live your life in conflict. So when I get to organization, whether it's a bank, whether it's a law firm, whether it's a pharmaceutical company, I make it very clear. I am a Christian. Not that I carry a banner, but during the interview, by my speech, by my communication, what I say, how I say it. In fact, I want to say that some people who are familiar with the Christian, they'll ask me, do you know W.F. Kumuyi? I say, yes, I know him. He's my pastor. They say, you speak like him. I say, wow, is it not a good thing to speak like your father? That when you go out and you are marshalling your point and you are courageous, you are looking them eyeball to eyeball, they know where we are coming from. Because the man that gave back to us spiritually is not a weakling. Ladies and gentlemen, compromise will destroy your future. Be strong in your conviction. Let them know who you are. That's one. Number two is that interrogate the organization. Listen to me. It will be a terrible disaster if you spend your valuable years working in an organization that has no long-term plan or values. Don't do it. Many of us will see banking interviews. I'm sorry to say that many of the banks are nothing but spiritual cemeteries and death zones where they will make you to do wrong things. It's not just banking, finance houses, it may be hospitals. For example, you're a doctor or you're a pharmacist or so, you go to an hospital, you ask them clearly, in this hospital, is abortion allowed? Is it part of the services we render? You must be upfront because it's about your future. We should not be so anxious to get a job that will swallow everything. So be sure that you are investing your life and your passion in an organization that also respects your value. So that's the second one. The third one is this. Then you talk about office politics. Let's be truthful. Politics is played everywhere. And I'm sorry to say, even in churches where there are immature people, they play politics. But let me tell you something. If we understand the concept of leadership, we will be very careful about choosing to lead. I'll give you an example. In the church where we are, Deeper Life Bible Church, the pastor is the major burden bearer. The pastor is the one, when members don't have food to eat, he finds money for them to eat. They have no money to pay their rent, he looks for money. Sometimes his own family are having problems, but he himself has to make sacrifices. So I carry my church leadership concept to the office. My team members, I take care of them. I'm concerned about them. I improve them. Have you gone for this training? You have been in this course. You have been in this position for how long? Tell me the new certification you have obtained. You become interested in the people. You invest in them. You push them up. You challenge them. You criticize them in private. And you praise them in public. I'm telling you, even your enemies, they will say, this man, we never saw any man like this before. This lady, we never saw anybody like this before. What I used to do, you know, my job as company secretary is one of the most delicate job in the world. You know why? You are the custodian of all sorts of secrets. But I learned something. I learned something. I want to share it before I yield the floor to the other panelists. It is this. These 2 ears, God gave it to us for a purpose. And then one mouth. You hear from your left and from your right, but you keep your mouth shut. Never you go to A and say, do you know that this is what B said? A will say, if you can tell me B's secret, that means you can tell B my secret. Be professional. I said it at the original. Keep your mouth. Stay away from office politics, but be very strong in performance. Listen to me. A lot of us, because our visions are short, you are looking at the next promotion. For crying out loud, don't you know that if you are going to be the general manager, the chief executive, you must learn how to endure all the difficulty. Secondly, or additionally, don't stay in one place. Look for opportunities. Can I volunteer for this job? Can I do receptionist job? Can I be seconded to for example, to operations to understand what they are doing? Can I join the marketing team? As I am today as a lawyer, I have acquired so much knowledge in communication, government affairs, finance. You know, I read books. I may not understand everything, but I have enough knowledge to know the difference between inventory, between receivables and payables. You must understand what is going on around you. And listen to me, you must be humble or you must be hungry. Humility does not mean that you lose your passion for excellence. Be humble, but be hungry. Be hungry for excellence. Don't rest on your hours. Always remember you can do it better. And always seek at all times to promote the well-being and the interest organization where you are. If you do these things, listen to me, it's not magic. With God on your side, with prayer, and of course, as Paul said, making sure you still find time to serve God, to render your support there, is not the sky. I believe that heaven will be your destination. And I'm looking forward to see our young people passionate in their workplace, so that when they say, I'm looking for Daniel Bangbaya, they say that child, that different child, if I will like him, if I will love him, in fact, you know, let them be your advocates. And when they do so, you don't need to play politics. I worked in the banking sector. I was as a lawyer. Every single year, I received a promotion. I didn't know the MD's house. I didn't know the ED's house. I never go there because it's not my job. My job is not to go to their houses and be, you know, kneeling down. No, my job is to make sure that in the office, there's no problem. And I did that so well. And where I am today, you know, just last week, they did some restructuring again. And they say, well, you have done so well in these countries. We'll now give you other Asian countries to take care of as well. I didn't ask any of them. But I think it's a reflection of the fact that if you do your work, if you do what is right, if you are passionate about excellence, let the politicians play the politics. You focus on your work, and I'm sure you are going to get there. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much for that passionate delivery. You know, it's important to be upfront on your convictions as you get into organizations, and we must be sincerely interested in people. And we can criticize our people in secret, but we must praise them in public. And then we must continue to deliver value to the organization we find ourselves in. And that's what will position us for, you know, progress in the organization. Thank you very much for those wonderful insights. Now, I'll take another question from Mr. John Eno. I think this is the last question I'll be taking, and then I'll take a closing remark from our speakers. Now, Mr. John Eno, this question relates very closely to what we find ourselves in at the moment. But before I ask this question, I want to state that Mr. John Eno is also a very balanced person. He, in fact, is like a missionary innovator. At some point, he started a church, you know, in the United Arab Emirates, and currently is a pastor in Deeper Life in Dallas, USA. And but I'd like to ask you this question. You know, your profile suggests that you're an expert in cloud technology, which is one of the buzz areas, you know, with the emergence of this new normal that we found ourselves in, that has made us to be having this event the way we are having it. Now, how will you advise young professionals who are looking to position themselves to take advantages that these cloud technologies are brought forward, in this era?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, by the grace of God, I'm a believer of the Word of God, and I believe God so much for everything I do because He's the greatest scientist. So, as a scientist and an innovator, I have to go to the source and the owner to be able to do what I want to do very well. So, I believe God. That is, I don't like Pastor Uche said. Wherever I walk, irrespective of what comes, I declare from the day one that I'm a Christian. So it's clear. So you know what I can do, you know what I cannot do. I don't joke with that. And that has really helped me. And by the grace of God, like you said, I walk like Paul. I focus on support the church through what God has given to me. And I try, because it's a gift from God, I make sure that I also help people to get closer to God through what I do. And in fact, by the grace of God, the church we have in Pakistan today, in Asia, was by God's grace, God through me started the church there too, apart from UAE and the rest. And it was at the course of my work that the church started, by God's grace. So it is all about having eternity in view in anything you do. Then now let's talk about cloud computing. Cloud computing and artificial intelligence is actually the focus, irrespective of your profession, like engineer, doctor, lawyer, whatever. In fact, by the year 2025, almost 50% or close to 50% of job will be done by robotic system, where those are rule-based jobs, where maybe things that you do routine in terms of, okay, you go to work, you are doing almost the same thing. Those type of jobs will no longer be done by human beings. They are going to be controlled by equipment if Christ starts to come. That is where the world is going. Everything is set for that. Because people are talking of court costing everywhere, they want to reduce their cost. So this is where the world is going. And so when we talk of cloud computing, is having computer resources in the cloud where you can privilege on. You pay as you use. For instance, the platform you're using to communicate with you, I want to believe very well, is hosted somewhere in the cloud. And so where you don't invent a wheel anymore, but people are taking care of problems and you can privilege on. So my advice to young professionals today is that in any profession you find yourself, be it law in the law, and as a lawyer or as an accountant or as engineer, in any area you find yourself, you want to be updated with the latest technology in that industry. And in fact, you have to purposefully go into IT. You have to have IT knowledge. Because if you stay where you are, even if you are a lawyer, how do you want to digitalize the law firm? That's what we call digital transformation that is happening across board right now as we speak. And the truth is that because of the pandemic or the COVID-19, the world has been reset back to almost 3 decades back. That is like to 30 years backward. That is where the world has gone to. It has affected economy, it has affected everything. And so you need to have a very new mindset and a proactive mindset, innovative mindset to actually go back or even go forward. And like I have mentioned, in all industry, be it in the space, be it in IT, be it anywhere, you must try to do studies, especially now it's very easy to have certification done online. And so if you're an IT expert like myself, if you are not careful, just within 6 months, you'll be updated, you become obsolete. And so you must, from time to time, learn new technology, maybe the Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud Platform or the Amazon Web Service or the one from Alibaba or the Oracle Cloud, IBM Cloud. There are different types of cloud computing. And in fact, you must, like I said earlier, you must look for problem and solve it using digital transformation, even for the church. For instance, during this pandemic, the truth is that church that were not digitalized to a level lost all their members. That is just the truth. Even in the office, some business fold up because there were no foundation for digital transformation. And so you must, in fact, this time is a kind of a money time. Yes, there is problem, but because of this problem, it's a time to become great in life, either physically or in any form. You have to actually look at it that way. I am trying to round up quickly to say that please update yourself, update your skill. Anybody can do IT. That's just a simple truth. And it is very, very important in your own field. And you have to ensure that you kind of come up, align to what is happening around you, look at problem and see how you can solve it. Thank you very much and God bless.
All right, thank you very much for those insights. Now, I'll just take a final closing remark, closing insights from each person, and then we'll see if we have questions that we can take from the audience. Mr. Kukoricha, can we hear one final thing that you'd like to say before we go to take questions?
I don't mind, I'll say three things.
Oh, okay.
I like to point people to the need for a strong foundation, right? A strong foundation from my sort of, I say from my experience, what I've experienced and what I've seen other people do. Strong foundation that give you good success. That strong foundation is important. And I believe that somebody having Jesus as an anchor is extremely important to have that good success. So I like to say that, number one. Number two, I also like to say that continuous investment in personal development is very important. You can see that all the panelists, they have emphasized it over and over and over again. In fact, I read an article very recently, it was a McKinsey article, right, that just did a study between December 2018 and May 2020, was this impact of pandemic. And they did a study, they found out that the sectors that we already poised for accelerated growth have grown tremendously just this short period. And they've actually widened the gap between them and top performing sectors and the bottom performing sectors. And some of them, you probably know, and then the panelists have also mentioned, some of them. So, so that continuous investment is very important. The third thing I like to say is be ethical. Be ethical. Be ethical. That means you have, you live by the principles that are good for you and that are good for society. When you are ethical, it catapults you a lot, it sustains you a lot. Let me use an example that is very well known. In 2015, I believe, and you know the organization, I can speak very openly because it's in the public sort of domain, right? MTN is a highly successful organization, right? But you remember in 2015, they were giving, government gave all the telecoms a deadline to deregister, all unregistered SIM holders. MTN failed to do that. They didn't meet the compliance. They did do that because they didn't have respect, in my view, they didn't have zero tolerance for non-compliance with regulation, right? So they failed to do that, and it cost them a lot, right? They had a fine of 5.2 billion. It took them a lot of time to find their way out of it. And don't forget that, they were leaders, the management, that had oversight of this company. Of course, you know that management had to be sort of swapped out. So the point I'm trying to make to you is that be ethical, right? When you are ethical, particularly in circumstances and situations where it is difficult to do so, when you're a leader and you become ethical, you infuse that in the entire organization. So for us, For example, I mean, it's very clear, all the investments that we do, we tell them we have zero tolerance for things like bribery, zero tolerance for things like breaking rules and breaking, zero tolerance for a number of things. So being ethical is very important. I think I've said, I don't know how many, I've said 3 things. But let me read 3 things. And I want to then tell you, particularly young people, I'm very interested in the lives of young people. I think that having gotten to a level where I am, right, the only thing I can do, right, at this point is to give back, right? And I want to give back to the younger people, right? And I need to let you know that particularly the age that we are in, there is a season for you people. It's just a season for you. If you just look at, just Google presidents that are under 40 years of age, present president that Google, you see a number of people pop up. And therefore, even our female sort of listeners, right? I think the youngest president in the world is actually female, right? I think a female in Finland, right? So I want to then inspire you, and they are all over, whether it's the corporate world, in politics, in spiritual sort of, endeavors, they're all there. So I want to inspire you. I want to let you know that you can do it. God helping you, you can do it, and if you apply these principles, if Jesus tarries, you will certainly be at the top. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for that insight. To the audience, please, before I take the next speaker, if you have questions, please begin to post your questions so that we can get to ask our speakers before they leave the stage. Please go to slide.do, all right? It's projected on the screen. Please use that link to post your questions so that we can, and if your question has been asked, you can just upvote that question so that it comes to the top, so that it's going to be prioritized to be answered. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'll move to Barrister Uche. Can we hear a closing thought? A final thought from you before we move to the questions.
Can you hear me? Daniel, can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly, loud and clear.
Thank you very much. I would have said that Paul have said it all. However, let me just restate what he has said in 3 different ways. So I accept his tripartite template as to what you should go home with. For me, number 1 is pay the price. The heights that world changers, great men and women achieve is not by sudden flight. It's not the hush puppy type. It's not the political style, the NDDC style. No, the height by great men achieve is not by sudden flight. But they, while others slumber, they burn the midnight oil. No genuine success in life, both in corporate and spiritual, is ever possible without burning the midnight oil. You must not give yourself to sleep and to slumber. You must get your loin and work for it, because there is success out there waiting for those who are desperate enough to get it. Number 2, don't stand still. John said it when he made his last comments. Keep on improving. Don't be stagnant. You are an engineer. Do you belong to NSC, Nigerian Society of Engineers? If yes, in Nigeria, what about London Society? What about American Society? Improve. It's not just ITs. Today we are used to IT certification, but no. As a lawyer, as a pharmacist, as a doctor, as a teacher. In fact, let me ask our teachers. Are you registered with TRACON? Have you written the TRACON exam? Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. Are you a TRACON certified teacher? Or you say it doesn't matter? In this COVID-19 era, it matters, because government is only going to support TRACON registered teachers. Get better, do better. The final point is have faith in God and have faith in yourself. God did not create you a failure. No matter what your past may be, your future is spotless. With God on your side, you can change your destination and your direction. Remember that God is G-O-D. Two-thirds of God is go, and the D is divine direction. So go after this conference, after this summit. Receive divine direction, and I'm sure that when we come next year, God sparing our life, Jesus tarrying, there'll be testimony session of what God has done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Mr. Paul, can I quickly just get just one comment, very brief from you, and then I'll ask some questions that are waiting for us to be answered.
Okay, God bless you. Just few comments. Like I said, I'm a believer of the Word of God, and in my final comment, I want to actually read the version of the scripture in 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 32, where the Bible says, "And as for the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the time to know what Israel ought to do, the head of them were 200, and all their brethren." And so what I want to say to you, as a young leader who is aiming to change and who is aiming for a greater height, you must understand the time which you are in every area of your life, from the family setting, community, down to the whole nation and across the continent and all over the world. And what I want to say finally to you is that you anchor everything in life to Jesus. Without Jesus, your anchor will sink. You will sink. And so Jesus is the bottom line, which our panelists all have talked about. And then another thing that is important, please learn to collaborate with one another. Look for somebody that is in that line that you want to go, and try to do what we call partnership. Partnership is very, very key in your growth. And not only that, do not be afraid to try, because if you do this, then you are ready to become what we call innovator or leaders that are ready for the new era, because that is what the world is looking for, leadership for new era. And I pray that God will really help you. Do not be afraid to start or to try. God bless.
All right, thank you very much for that insight. Now, I moved to questions, so that we just take a few questions and then we close this session. Somebody is asking, and I think I'll direct this to Mr. Paul Kokoricha. He's asking that, is it okay to take a loan? That's to Sasui. He's asking if it's okay to take a loan as a startup entrepreneur. And maybe in addition to that, you can say what are those things that typically attracts an organization to funds from those that have the money to spend. Thank you, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Mr. Paul.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Very loud and clear.
Okay, thanks. So the question is it good to take a loan to start a business, right? That's the question. I will give I'll say an answer that will be caveated, right? It's always good, right, to have some form of equity in anything you're doing, right? When I say some form of equity is the capital that's provided, right? It sits at the bottom of the balance sheet, right? So it's what then sort of acts as a cushion, right? For shocks and all of that, right? Now, so if you just have a loan and there's no equity, I'll say generally it's considered risky, right? Having said that, but I told you I'll give you a caveated answer, right? But it then depends on the loan. That depends on the terms of the loan. It then depends on the amount. For example, if the amount is manageable, the terms are favorable, and it turns out that you don't have any equity to start the business, then you may well consider it, right? So you may well consider it. Now, if there is specific things, you are actually thinking of something very specific. I'm sure that maybe Daniel or somebody, if you want additional sort of insight, Daniel can provide you with my number or whatever, I can provide additional insight. That question. Then the more general question is, what do we then look for? Again, in the interest of time, I would say three things, right? First of all is the management team, right? When I say the management team, who is the champion, who is providing, I'll say leadership and managerial sort of I'll say leading the management team, right, to deliver what they are asking to deliver, right? So management team is important. And that management team, you dimension it in several areas. They have a track record of what they want to do, right? And then they may or may not. Now, if they don't have it, do they have a potential, to develop the capacity and the capabilities to enable them to be successful, right? Number two, I think Mr. Femi Pedro mentioned it the other time. By the way, I like Warren Buffett a lot, so I'm also, I'll say, from a financial sort of a perspective, I'll say I'm almost an apostle, so a disciple, not apostle, a disciple of Warren Buffett from a financial perspective. I'm a disciple of the Lord Jesus Christ, right? I'm just from a business sort of, because it's in the same sort of thing that I also do. So I also learned from him, right? By the way, he's a great guy to learn from. When you talk about humility, talk about discipline, talk about somebody that has all the money in the world, he lives in the same, he's been in the same house, for all these years, so he's a great person to learn from. And it tells us three things. Femi Pedro mentioned that. He said, when I'm looking at management, you're looking at their competence. Femi said it's intelligence, but I'll broaden it to just say their competence, right? Their ability. So it's not just intelligence in terms of IQ, but competence to be able to do what they are saying to do. Number two, you look at their energy level, their passion, right? And then number three, you look at their integrity. So that's the first spot. So I dimension management. That management meets all these requirements. The second thing that we then look at is the attractiveness of the sector. And it's very clear that there are some sectors, either because of trends, technological trends, or that trends, otherwise, they then they're either suffering, they are suffering diminishing returns or suffering attrition gradually, or they'll be overtaken. Let me give you an example. It's good to use life examples, right? So we invested in 1999, before the advent of GSM in Nigeria. We invested in a company that wanted to use Nitel at that time as a backbone to then roll out, public pay phones, right? Public pay phones, in those days, I don't know whether they're still, in Europe, or I don't know, but certainly public pay phones where you have people can go and then make phones and make phone calls and all of that. So he then started that in 1999, and then we actually then backed him. We said, you know what, Nitel is very, for those that are older, if you wanted to actually make a call at that time to abroad, either you had to go to Nitel physically or whatever. So we said public phone is a good idea. So it democratizes, telephone and makes it affordable and reachable to people. So we'll put our money behind that, that business, right? We didn't know that in 2001 or thereabouts, government was going to license GSM, right? So we put money behind it in 1999, 2001. GSM license was given, and then by the time the GSM operators started rolling out, of course, just blew out the foundation of that business, right? People didn't have to go to close public pay phones to make call, right? So understanding the attractiveness of that sector and then the trends in that sector, right, where it's going, is important. And then the third thing I like to say, in the interest of time, is that it should then be able to deliver risk, adjusted returns, for us. So I'll leave here those 3 points in the interest of time.
All right, thank you very much for those clarification. Okay, so I'll move to the next question. Okay, so for the person asking for Mr. John Eno's handle, you can follow at BIP2. It's going to be projected later. I'd like to ask a question from Barrister Uche. Someone is asking that, is it advisable to leave an organization that is not having the same vision as you when no other job is forthcoming, despite having looked out for other opportunities?
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. And for the person asking the question, there is direction and there is timing. So let me be very clear here. If the organization is unethical to the point that Paul has made, please, LEAVE now. Listen to me. It's better to be jobless than to lose your license to operate. I want to remind us, especially professionals, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're a pharmacist, you're an engineer, and a host of other professions. As long as your profession is governed by a professional body, if you get entangled on unethical criminal activities in that organization, you can be debarred. Your name can be removed from practicing that your profession. So that one is very clear. For non-unethical, you're an accountant, you are the one keeping the books, and they say to you, keep 2 or 3 books. When the auditors come, show them book 1. When the tax authority come, show them book 2. When the regulators, maybe PENCOM or CBN or NICOM or whichever regulator it is, show them another book. My friend, you have no business in that place. The answer is leave immediately and be very clear. You state why you leave, because those people are often very vicious. They will want to foist on you criminalities you have nothing about. So be very clear about why you are leaving and what the situation is. Very important. However, there are some organizations that don't have vision. They are okay from ethics point of view. It's just that they are not ambitious. They don't want to grow. They don't want to take, they are reactive. They are not proactive. For such, plan your next move. While you are here, improve your skill, volunteer, do other things, and then look out for where you ought to go. Because there's no, you are going to, let's say you want to go to Brussels. You're joining to go to Brussels. Listen to me. You can start walking from here to Ibadan and on until you get to Niger Republic. You can walk. The problem is how long it takes you to get there. But we know that there are jetliners. There are means of getting to your destination. So my counsel for you is ensure that where you walk matches what you want to be. It's very important. Where you walk, otherwise you'll be seen as a misfit. Because when you are saying go right, everybody say stay where you are. You're going to have problems with them. So my advice to you is this: for unethical companies, leave immediately. You will find another job. And let me make it very clear. Let me make it very clear. There are benefits, let me call it French benefits, for being a child of God. That's why we should not be apologetic for being Christians. If I'm a child of God and I want to please my Father, and I know what I'm doing is in line with His will, I live because I know my Father will back me all. John and Paul, our panelists, say something about your network, about your connection. If you step out in faith because you want to please your Father, I want to let you know, prove me wrong. Send me your name and say, I quit my job because it was an unethical company, and this is 6 months, this is 1 year, I've not gotten a job. Just give me your name, because it's not possible. Because over and over, I have seen it happen. That when you walk by faith because you want to please God, things will happen for you, okay? And things will begin to happen for us, all right? Yeah. Because this is our time. And I'm sure, as Paul said, this is our season. And that is the reason why we're in this summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Don't compromise your values on the basis of anything. Ensure that you do the right thing always, because that is what will position you for the next level. All right. One more question to Mr. John Eno. And he says, how can we as young professionals obtain skills in cloud computing. So that's very technical, but most of the questions that have come to you are quite technical. So I think, and it's relevant to this because, yeah, I think your skill level aligns a lot with what is happening recently, and maybe providing these insights might help some people to just move to the next level. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, God bless you for that question. It's actually very easy to obtain skill, especially these days in cloud computing. In fact, there are a lot of free online training. Google just, maybe I think I can share it and later, and then maybe can be shared with email, especially for people that register. Google,
Yes.
for instance, have millions and free trainings that are available ongoing right now as we speak. I know Microsoft did the same, though I don't know of the other providers, that you can learn online to become, to acquire skills in cloud computing. And also for us here in North America, the Deeper Life Bible Church in my region, we also, as we speak, doing training for either software development or even cloud computing, as we also speak, for the young adult people as well. We don't collect money free of charge. I also share also those information for you to acquire those knowledge. It's very good. It's a good plan to thinking to want to grow. And one key thing you must understand is that in as much you can read and write, then it all become about passion. You can do anything in this life because you are a child of God. God is a creator, and therefore he has ability in you to be creative and be innovative from time to time. Thank you very much. I think that helped.
All right, so we'll share the information. If you have not registered and you're participating in this event, please ensure to register so that we have your information. That also helps us to be able to, continuously engage with you. I will say a very big thank you to our panelists. I think we need to close this here. But I must say I'm delighted. While we were choosing the panelists, we didn't know the depths of your capability. We saw it on paper, but it appears that today you've been able to prove your worth. We are really and indeed very grateful for your time. Thank you very much. God bless you abundantly. So I'll hand over to the moderator, and then we can close this session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel Bangbanyo. We've had a very, very blessed session here, and we have done so great. I want to also thank everyone that has participated today. It has been a leadership summit indeed that has given us a lot of insights to make us great. And my first appreciation goes to God Almighty, who has made it a reality, like I said. He has made it a blessed time for us. My appreciation also goes to the grand patron of the Young Professionals Forum, in person of Pastor Dr. WF Kumuyi. He has been the brain behind this forum and the brain behind this innovation. It's been so good to have him as our father. And I want to appreciate the organizers, that's the Young Professionals Forum, organizers of this Leadership Summit. And I still want to acknowledge the presence of the keynote speaker that has made it in his tight schedule. He made it out to help us and give us that great insight that will take us to the level of influence and level of wealth. That's in person of Mr. Femi Pedro, who has been the former deputy governor of Lagos State and is also an author. We've posted the book. Okay, it's up the screen, how you can get the book for those that have been asking. I also want to appreciate the panelists, the moderator, that's in person of Daniel Bangbanyo, who just handed over to me now, John Eno, Paul Kokoricha, and Barrister Uchenna. I want to say thank you very, very much. And all our participants that have been watching and taking time to watch us on Facebook, listening on their CLM radio and watching on YouTube and all other platforms you've been opportuned to listen to us and also watch us. I want to say thank you very much. And I do believe that the insight you've gotten from today will make us higher, and we will get higher. Tomorrow is another special time. We'll be having another special sessions that are mind-blowing, and on this same platform by 1 p.m. prompt. We'll be starting 1 p.m. prompt. And the good news also is that we'll be having our another keynote speaker in person of the former Vice Chancellor of Ekiti State University, that's Professor Bandeli. He will be on this session tomorrow as our keynote speaker, talking about the quantum leap, winning with people. And we'd also have panelist discussion on emotional intelligence. The speakers have been thrown out on the social media platform. Also, we'll be having them introduced tomorrow. I also want to tell you that it'll be a great time to share your summaries of what you've learned today on our social media handles, and that's at YPF Online HQ. YPF Online HQ. Just share your social media, the summary of what you've learned today. Can you help us with the? Oh, okay. Esther Yano is saying thanks to YPF, thanks to all panelists, and thanks to me for attending this forum. Yes, I see you're so blessed with having this forum put in place. John Madayese also is saying thanks so much, Femi Pedro, all panelists, Daniel, and other organizers. Thank you to Mr. John Madayese. Do we have others? Okay, Talent Builders Corporation is saying God bless all the resource persons. Do we have one more person so we can appreciate them too? Okay, Awal Atin May Angua. Okay, it says I am the chairman of House of Fulani Youth Development and Orientation Forum. Awal Atin from Sokoto saying thanks. Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Awal. We also appreciate you. We're also saying that you take time out to share some of the summaries, the things, the extracts you've gotten from this event, shared on our social media handles, as I've said earlier. And I want to say one more time, thank you and God bless you. So we'll have a short prayer because we started with God, and we'll also round up with God. And we'll be saying, let's bow our heads, let's close our eyes. Father, we thank you for what you have done today. You've made it a reality to be in your presence, and you have taught us today on how we need to improve on ourselves, improve and get better, so that we can attain that height that you've promised for us, the height of influence, the height of wealth, the height of upliftment. We're asking that as you have taught us today through the panelists, through the keynote speakers, and through everyone that has spoken and taught us today, we're asking that these things will work in our lives in a blessed way and will take us up and higher in the name of Jesus. You promise for us to be the head and not the tail. You promise for us to be above only and not beneath. This is our utmost goal. This is our desire. We're asking, Lord, that you help us to achieve this in a greater way in the name of Jesus. Thank you, Father, for answering our prayers. In Jesus' name, we have prayed. Thank you so much, Lorita. Thank you, Chizoba. Thank you very much. And with this, I would say we've come to the end of today's Leadership Summit. We'll be having that tomorrow. Keep it a date with us. I am beloved Olani. Thanks and God bless you.